everybody? What is poppin'? What is poppin'? Welcome back to the channel.
What's going on? What's going on, y'all?
Neighbors. I am your host, and this is your other host, Dre.
Lamont.
What is going on today, y'all? How y'all doing today? What we talking about today there, man?
We gonna try and get into the topic of the terminology of some people in the streets know as G-checking. And we're gonna go into the other aspect of that word of constructive criticism. So this is basically G-checking versus constructive criticism. That make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it makes sense. G-checking, constructive criticism. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, including myself and yourself, need a little bit of that here and there.
Absolutely.
So what is G-checking?
Let me see if I can give it. Let's see if I can give it the term. G-checking would be when someone approaches someone who thinks that they're of a same affiliation, state, name, rank, set, which would be a crew or a conglomerate of people in the same vicinity, or the short term for would be gangster checking, for checking somebody. You know, so
to test someone's gangster. That's pretty much, you know what I mean? To test somebody's courage.
Yeah,
the gangster, the courage.
Depending on the aspect or the format where you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Work, streets, you know, family area, you know. Street terminology would be G-checking.
Pretty much.
Business aspect will be possibly somebody giving you constructive criticism.
In layman's terms, correcting you.
In a nutshell.
In layman's terms, they are correcting you.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, man. So how you feel about it then? What we speaking on that? So taking constructive criticism in a good way, though, right? Or are we talking how people take constructive criticism?
I think it's more the aspect of how people take the constructive criticism.
Okay.
Because if you're coming from that kind of background, from being in the streets, and you're transferring over to the work life, you know what I'm saying, you're going to look at it as someone probably trying to G-check you.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in your conversion.
Converting from like the streets to the workforce, yeah.
Because you kind of know which way it goes in the street aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe, you know, both of those, they both play hand in hand in how you work. And there's no color boundary with that, you know. Mm-hmm. No one really
I don't think so.
No?
It depends on the situation and the topic, I think.
Well,
it depends on the situation.
Because depending on the background you're coming from, you're going to see somebody trying to G-check you.
Yeah.
Coming from another person's observation, they're seeing it as a constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say there's no color boundary with it. We see it one way, they see it another way. But in all, it's still the same kind of aspect of someone, how do you say, correcting you.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, true.
You know?
True. But, I mean, yeah, because I was thinking about it in a form of, like, you, like, staying in your place, like, this probably isn't something that you should be involving yourself in, but that's something totally different. So,
right.
I
believe it's also the way that it's delivered to you as well.
Yeah.
So, belittling someone. And you may think it's belittling to you depending on your background.
I got that. Yo, it's funny because I'm actually learning that now, and then just learning to not feel like you being belittled.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's just, some things is just life, yo. It's not even or it's just that person also, like, because I have that issue where I'm trying to talk to somebody and I feel like I'm belittling them,
right,
in such a way. But
especially if you know, maybe you possibly know a little bit more than them, you know what I'm saying, and you're giving because I see it as it all depends on the angle of what you see in your perception. You might have gone through something, or you may know something a little bit more than someone, and then someone trying to give you that information, they may be thinking that you're trying to play them, that they don't know. So it turns into the aspect, depending on who you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? Because you have some people that may take it in the fact of you're trying to disregard who I am and insult my intelligence, and that goes actually both ways. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on how you take it.
Yeah, and that's male and female. Just
right.
Yo, it's crazy because now that I sit there and I really think about it, I have a hard time talking to a lot of people because of that. Because I feel like the constructive criticism that I give, they take as belittling, and that's what I meant by the last statement. Is sometimes I feel like when I talk, I belittle because I get so much kickback from what I said. You know what I mean? I feel like so many people got to make it their point to try and prove my statement wrong. Where it's,
right.
Where it's just an opinion of mine. It's just my personal opinion. You know what I mean?
Because I think it depends on who's giving that information.
Yeah.
You know, but even if it depends on who's giving the information, the information can still be beneficial towards you or to you. You know what I'm saying? No matter your age, race, rank, position of power. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on how you accept it. Do you accept it in a violent-like manner or an aggressive manner? Or do you have to reflect on yourself and realize that maybe there is something that I don't know, and they are maybe possibly trying to help me? So that would mean we have to go within ourselves and figure that out, and not always be on the attack mode. And sometimes you have to sit back and look at the whole full view of the things, and maybe someone sees something different that you don't see. You know what I'm saying?
True. I mean, I think that take a lot of patience too, also, to learn that, because growing up, depending on how you grew up, you always on edge,
right?
And I think that plays a big part in people being G-checked. And if it's a good G-check, some people feel like that's a form of disrespect, or the constructive criticism, people, again, like we were talking about, feel like they're being disrespected or being belittled.
Right.
But I honestly feel like that's, like, some of that probably stemmed from just your upbringing. Yeah, because when you really think about it, a lot of people have to do some things on their own. Not everybody, but some people. And when you start doing things on your own, you live a little faster. Right. Then, you know what I mean?
You're so used to doing you in your aspect of life, and no one's slowing you down. But when someone decides to slow you down, but in the sense of seeing something, that's seeing you moving so fast that you're probably about to crash, and they can see something before you see it and trying to stop you from having that collision. Maybe that is what is willing to kind of like humble you a little bit. Yeah. And not just be so much on the defensive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But that's also a lot of times where is how people also talk to you, especially coming from a younger age. You can't just tell somebody, you just can't correct somebody in a nasty form if all they know is nasty. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, if all they know is nasty and then you're trying to check them in a nasty way, I think that's another way, that's another thing that make people...
It's the delivery.
Yeah.
Of how they giving it to you.
You know what I mean? So that's how I feel, though. I feel like that some of that stemmed from growing up, not your upbringing, man. Because, like, even me, you try and live or try and catch up with other kids and teenagers or just life as a whole. And then when that one thing hit, and like you said, it's almost a good thing though to sometimes, because when that thing do come, if you the right person that have the right mindset, you can go back and be like, that's what that person was trying to tell me before. You know what I'm saying? You got to be, again, you have to have patience, and then you have to add understanding when you talk about it on that level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
definitely. But we all receive things differently.
Yeah.
So absorbing that aspect of someone telling you something that probably, number one, you're not used to being told, the direction that it's actually given to you also is also a common formality, and it just feels like, once again, we're all human beings, so anything that's willing to distract our bubble of who we are is always going to be in the defense, especially if you've been doing it consistently for so long.
Yeah.
And no one has been willing to tell you that you've been doing something a certain way. So when someone does decide to tell you, you take it in an aggressive manner, and the first thing you want to do is lash out.
Yeah. And so speaking on that too, so like doing something a certain way for a long time. Yo, could you imagine you doing something like, and we're talking like people that just had like a higher upcoming.
Right.
Imagine you having a higher upbringing from like 10, 11, 12 years old, and there's just certain things you've been doing to survive from that point up until your 30s. And then when your 30s hit, it's like, dude, it's a whole different type of life that you're trying to live from then. And trying to convert, like we were saying earlier, trying to convert and then being put on game, how to buy a house. Like you'll sit there and be like, yo, I want a house that got this, that got that got this. And then when we talk about when you in your 30s.
Right.
And then that one person that probably is in a sixth house, but you on your first house, or you talking about your first house, but this person is on a sixth house. Yo, maybe you need to look at this instead of that. Maybe you need to look at this and that. It's like now you almost feel like, yo, you crushing my dreams.
Right.
But in hindsight, it's no. I've been there, done that, and I had the same tunnel vision as you.
Right.
And I did what you are saying, and I'm letting you know now what's going to be the outcome.
Right.
Especially if it's exactly the way it sound is how I did it.
And I've done it, and I've seen that, and I've found out the other not only loopholes but ways of not trying to go back to that situation. Because I already witnessed it, and if I can give that information to you, I'm going to give it to you. Now, that's my opinion that I'm giving you. You probably don't want to take it. You're probably going to just not even pay attention to it. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother will say all the time, been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yep. Okay. and on top of that, also, if you don't know, if you're not around nobody that
to give you that outlook,
give you that game from 10 years old to 30, and you never heard any of the lingo and all that, it's that man, when somebody start checking you or correcting you or preparing you, it's just you just gotta learn how to take it in a different way, because
us as humans basically want domain and sovereignty of our own bodies, of our own physical aspects. So anything that is willing to deconstruct how we normally do things and being told that we can't do it, the first thing we want to do is lash out against it. So we're so used to, some of us are so used to just doing our own thing that when someone comes in and says that, hey, maybe you should fall back, or maybe this is another way of doing it, we don't look at it as someone seeing something before we do and trying to deter us from going down that route. Not because they have been through it, but because they can see something that can probably lead to destruction or misuse of information or something of that nature. So we have to understand that it's not something to belittle us or downplay us. It's to basically help us or enlighten us on, don't go down that route because I know which way it goes and which way it leads to. You know what I'm saying?
It's just crazy, man. But
You're right.
But G checking though is it is much needed. It's definitely much needed.
I think we all need it.
It's definitely much needed. And constructive criticism is much needed. I think they both is much needed, and I think that they both play an equal part in your life.
Right.
It just you just got to be prepared.
Be willing to accept someone giving you something that you're not used to getting.
Listen, I was in a funk for like 3-4 days, and I was thinking about some stuff, and somebody, a great person of mine.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Was talking to me about some stuff, man, right? And they was telling me about myself, and when you don't hear, like we just said, when you don't hear something for so long or at all, you take it a rough way. And this person was telling me how I just think too deep. Like I think deep on a lot of things that probably should not be needing to be thought that deep about, right? Just let certain things go with the flow. And in my mind, because I've always been on that edge where I can't just let things go with the flow because it's what if, or I ain't have, and that bothered me for a couple days, and I honestly had to understand that it was just really constructive criticism, dude, like literally. And I mean, this was literally the last 2-3 days. And I talked to you about it yesterday, actually, now that I think about it. And I talked to a couple of my brothers earlier about it. Just being in a funk about something, and sure as shit, I took it the wrong way, and me and that person ain't even like really on it right now like that, because now I done made them mad because how I went about it.
You went about the situation.
Yep. No, like seriously, man. And so now I'm sitting here like, yo, my bad. I wasn't. And then, so now I'm G-checking myself. Cause it's like, dang, dude, you actually do need to ease off, man. And when but now I feel like it was too late though. Not necessarily too late, but you sit there and be like, dang, like, now these people is all upset about something that you let go of now.
Right.
Now they ain't let go of it because you done put them in a little weird funk or whatever like that.
Yeah, but the best thing to do with that situation is having to say, my bad.
Yeah.
I didn't see it in that angle or that situation.
Oh, in that.
And I think no matter what kind of funk they may have been in when they first heard it, I think if you will come out and say that, that you come to the conclusion I was in the wrong.
I did.
I think that, depending on the person, I think that would speak volumes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they understand that they didn't see it as you being disrespectful to them. It was just something that you weren't willing to accept. You know what I'm saying? And
it's crazy because I accept it. It's just I couldn't accept that it was true.
Oh, that's
so I accepted that. I accepted the criticism, but I couldn't.
You didn't
accept that
the reality of it.
And I lashed out in a way where it was like it just snapped like, oh shit. Like
what you trying to play me? Or you trying to make it, and that's what it is. Some people are direct with it.
Yep.
Some people are indirect with it. Some people are a ninja blade with certain things that they say. It's like a ninja. It's that sword that slices, and then you see it. It's smooth when it go through, and it's so smooth, but the damage that it leaves, like especially if you watch anime, a lot of people I know, especially myself, I'm an anime fan. You see the blade slice, you're like, oh, that was quick, but the damage that it has done speaks. It's like, oh shoot, you cut in half. You probably cut in thousands of pieces, and that's where that's also the word. That is also the will of the tongue as well. The tongue is so sharp, or as Wu would say, the darts that they throw at you, they want to hit you with every dart. So sometimes when it's spoken, you can, okay, let's say it like this. You could be doing whatever you want, and your parents will say something to you and you be yelling at you and you ignore them. But when they whisper, that whisper is that ninja blade. It is so sharp, so clear and precise.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It hits the back.
Because you wonder like, oh shoot.
Wait, what did they just say? You didn't hear the rah, rah, rah. But when it got low, is when it hits that subconscious and it goes, what?
Oh crap.
Now you catch it.
Yep.
If you got kids and you yell at your kids, start whispering to your kids.
You're like, oh crap.
Yo, start whispering. Start saying things low. It hits the subconscious a lot harder than the yelling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we all go through that aspect of some people are aggressive in how they say things, and then you have some people that don't have to yell at you. I got to a point in my life where my pops, for example, he stopped yelling at me. He stopped putting his hands on me and started talking to me. And him talking to me hurt me more than the physicality of it. Because guess what? Now I'm listening. Now I'm paying attention. And it's the somber aspect of this is what is the real right now. And that them darts hit a lot more than the physicality of it, because now it's the physical aspect. You get older, you grow, you get a little stronger. All right, now it's the mental aspect. And the mental aspect of it does a lot more damage than the physical aspect. Even though sometimes the physical can lead to the mental, but if it hits you mentally first, it speaks volumes.
Yo,
you know what I'm saying? That's me.
Especially when you're a adolescent bad kid, and all you just keep getting whoopings and whoopings and whoopings, and it's something you know you should get whooping for.
Right, you get
moment.
What is it? Immune? What is it? Immune? You get immune to it? Was that what it be with the word?
Yep.
You like, all right. Especially if you start growing, getting bigger, you start, them hits, them whoopings, things of that nature don't hurt no more. And certain parents realize that. But then when it turns into I can't put my hands on this kid no more. Let me start talking to him. Let me start explaining to him the reality of it. If that don't hit you a lot more harder than the whoopings do, because there are things you can probably remember the whoopings that you got, depending on who you are. Some people got, I say whoopings. I'm not saying beatings. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying whoopings, things that
I got beat.
Things that will put you in a certain chase that I got beat. You know what? When I think about it, I think we all mentally think we got beat. Some people really got beat.
No, I got beat.
You know what I'm saying?
I ain't
But for some, once the whoopings start and it turns into more of a mental aspect of it, I think that does a lot more damage.
Yeah.
Because you can probably remember a few whoopings, but a lot of the mental aspects of it seeps a lot different, because you can remember the conversations. You can remember, how do you say, being thinking that you're here in a mental conversation to drop that all the way down.
Yeah.
Because now it's testing your mental psyche. You know what I'm saying?
I think I remember more beatings than the mental psyches.
Oh, word.
Me personally.
You personally?
I think I think I remember more of the beatings. That was like,
You probably deserved it. You was an asshole.
yeah, still to this day, be called that. I get it. But yeah, I remember more of the beatings than the mental aspect of it.
Right.
I think the mental aspect of it for me was when I stopped getting the beatings, and then things just he ain't about my time. I'm just gonna go shower and go to sleep and you sit there like.
Sometimes I be in a position of thinking about it. I'm almost 40, and there are certain things that I think I'm about to do. I still remember either a whooping or a talking to that kind of like stops me and pauses me from doing some of them dumb shits.
Mm-hmm.
That's me personally. Like,
crazy,
man. And that's real, you know. But for the most part, if it's okay, I would like to give at least like 4 things that'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the aspect of the constructive criticism or the G-checking aspect. You know what I'm saying? When you conversing with people, you want to be specific. You know, you want to get to the point quickly and make sure that you don't beat around the bush. You don't want to give the person that kind of aspect of feeling downplayed or downtrodden when you're trying to speak to them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be timely. You want to give prompt feedback at the next suitable moment while the incident is still fresh. Or, you know what I'm saying, you see the situation happen, you want to try and nip it in the bud before it escalates to something else.
Okay.
You want to be positive. Because for all the negative feedback you give, you need to also include positive feedback. I was taught in the military by certain people, praise in public, criticize behind the scene. You know what I'm saying? I show you what you're doing because you have some people that want to criticize you in front of your peers to make a point.
I'm just sitting back thinking like, man, that hit home.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of me telling you in front of your peers, family members, co-workers, how bad of a person you are so everybody can see it, that does a lot to not only your psyche, but how they look at you. So if I can basically tell you, you know what I'm saying, even if it's not a praise in public, I would rather critique you behind the scenes to let you know what I see instead of doing it in front of everyone and putting you on blast or putting you in a position where it's I don't want to go all the way and say it's an embarrassment, but it kind of is an embarrassment. But to show in front of your peers how bad you are. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that also plays a major key, and you have to be understanding. Before I critique you or give you the other aspect of what's going on, I want to have to understand how would I feel or how would I accept that constructive criticism. You know, or, you know, that term of G-checking. And the more I think about the term G-checking, because like we said before, that goes back to our urban derivative of what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
We're used to that term of G-checking somebody. Where you from? What's that you claim? Things of that nature. Instead of just pulling someone to the side, it's to show the biggest, how big your balls are, so to speak.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That I can embarrass you in front of multiple people and see what your reaction is. And for the most part, you know, it doesn't turn out the correct way.
Yeah. And let me add one thing to that also. Know that constructive criticism, I feel like 90% of it is out of love. It's not out of hate. If somebody is trying to tell you something or talk to you about something or just run game or however you look at it, I honestly feel like it's out of love. It's not out of a hateful place. So so add that to being understanding. You know what I mean? Like as you're also being understanding and trying to be understanding of it, just understand too, like, yo, before you get upset about something, just understand, yo, this is out of love. This ain't out of hate. Unless you know that it's coming from a hateful place.
It's coming from a hateful place. And for some people, depending on their aspects of
hell, I don't even know why you letting those people even talk to you in that
of the background. But like I said before, it's to demean who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Depending on who it's coming from or where it's coming from.
And the person that's given the constructive criticism, you can be honest, just don't be brutally honest, and to the point where you are destroying somebody.
I've learned that.
I'm learning that too. Like, I have to learn how to be honest, but not honest to the point where I am hurting your feelings. I'm learning that. I'm
learning that.
Seriously. So the person that's given the constructive criticism, yes, be clear and be direct and be honest, but do not be brutally honest, please, because that does more harm.
The brutally honest
help.
aspect, and for some people, the brutally honest aspect for some people is their way of getting it across to people, because the honest aspect is overlooked.
Yeah. But you got to know who you're talking to before you to decide brutal honest or honest.
All right, if you're coming from an area where you're used to hearing brutal honesty, and you're trying to give that brutal honesty to someone that's not used to that, how do you think that plays a factor in your honesty? It may be honest, it may be brutally honest. Okay, for example, I've been in the military for a minute, and the constructive criticism that I would receive was harsh.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand, the constructive criticism could put people's lives in danger.
Mm-hmm.
So coming from that aspect into the aspect of a civilian world or a civilian aspect, trying to give that kind of criticism to friends, family members that don't understand that aspect of it, it seems negative.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to balance it, because how we talk to each other is different from how people in the civilian world will talk to each other.
Mm-hmm. True.
You get a lot of slurs thrown at you, or just certain terminology that it's aggressive, but it's a military lifestyle that it's normal. So trying to convert that into talking to people that are civilians, you have to learn when to tune it down and tune it up, because it's different how you say things, and it sounds more authoritative than actually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's coming from well, I don't know what you would consider yourself. So if you not the sergeant, what would you be? Like a lower rank?
Or anything
like
under,
a lower rank or
well, it's different.
So imagine you being a sergeant that have to huff and do all that.
Well, you have to understand.
Oh my God, that is tough.
Well, you have to understand that in the military, okay, might ruffle some feathers. I think, I won't want to say my generation, but I think the class that I joined at the 9/11 precipice. So all the guys and women that taught me were like those last dig in the mud kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
So after them, everything they taught us, if we didn't take that and carry it on, then it'd be gone. So if they didn't teach my class that came in, I'm gonna call it a class that came in, that hard work grunt kind of lifestyle, that is gone because they were getting rid of those guys due to the fact that they were canceling time frames of how long you've been in. These guys were in for a while at a certain rank, but these were like dudes that was like 10 toes down in the mud. The last like group that were 10 downs, because you got to think about it. The dudes that taught me came in the early 90s. The dudes that taught them came from the 80s. Who taught them came from the 70s. So it was the directive that they were given to you was a lot more harsh because that's how they were taught.
Correct.
You don't do what you get this done, you can lose a fucking life, and it's on you. And
he's seen a lot more than what we seen.
I'll put hands on you, no problem, the whole kit and caboodle, and you be like, what? What you hands on me? You know. Now you trying to do that to somebody, they running and they telling, they yelling at me. I can't take this, and I feel a certain kind of way, you know. So I believe that the guys that taught us and the ones that we absorbed that knowledge from and respected what they did and was able to keep that same roughness and pass it on. I think that meant a lot, and that goes for the guys that basically taught us, and that goes for guys like Bobo, Steele, Landrum, Wooten, Kamens, all those guys that basically taught me, and the guys that followed behind me, that followed with me, that instilled that in us, that, you know, that I think they kind of knew that it's about to be a big change. Yeah. So we're going to put our foot in your ass so you understand that you guys will be the last of the Mohicans, basically.
Nah, seriously, right?
You know, if that makes sense.
Real.
You know,
it's real. And what was I about to say? Oh, another thing too that I noticed as we with the constructive criticism and the G check-in is when I wanted to add this. When somebody is conversating and is trying to help you, and because this is a big thing too, that a lot of people take very hard, is when somebody tell you maybe you should go see somebody and talk to somebody. A lot of people take that hard because in their mind, it's like, yo, I'm talking to you though. But at the same time, you have to understand that person that's telling you maybe you need to speak to somebody. What do you mean by like speak to somebody like maybe a therapist or a counselor or something like that? Yes. Now now
you have to understand now also too. We come from a group of people that are, everything is kept in house because they don't want the name to be used as it's being something wrong. Or there are skeletons in people's closets that don't want to be opened up because it'll open up a lot of other things.
So you're just going to expect somebody that don't understand you to help you and then be mad when they can't help you? Because that's what happens, and that's what I mean. Like, so if you're
let's be honest. We hear people all the time. People that are white have no problem going to see a therapist or going to see a psychologist.
Yes, true.
The percentage of people that are of African American descent that go see a psychologist or a therapist, I'm quite sure it's possibly low. You have some that will go, but for the aspect, because you have to understand there's a lot of things that come with the traumatization of what we see in everyday life in the streets, to being in certain households, to being in things of that nature. So when you hear that term, go see a psychologist, go see a therapist. Maybe you need to figure it out. And then you have certain people that will say things like, what you need to go see them for? You don't need to do that. They will want to deter you from going to see that because you're letting out family business.
True.
And family business is supposed to stay inside, even though it may hurt the hell out of you. And they'll make you have to suck it up. And there's a lot of things that go on in people's families that do that. You have creepy uncles, creepy aunts, creepy family members that's still invited to barbecues and everything from doing certain things to family members.
Yeah, but fuck all that. If
I understand that. I understand that 100%.
I'm not if.
Then you would have to be the one to break. You would break that.
Break the barrier.
You have to break
outcast. I don't care, but that's
you know what I'm saying.
But I'm speaking on like yes, like the other day, somebody told me you need to go speak to somebody. And it's crazy because how we teeter-totter with that thought is before they even said that, I was already on the process of, maybe I probably should speak to somebody because maybe nobody gets what is going on except for myself. Right. And then when that person said it, it was like, yeah, I was thinking about it, Conversation progressed. Nah, I ain't going. I'ma just keep it to myself.
Because there are maybe some doors that there are maybe some things behind those doors that you have personally suppressed.
Correct.
That makes you feel vulnerable to opening up because it'll make you feel weak.
But their criticism was, go speak to somebody. I, in my mind, said the hell with you and the hell with them.
Right, absolutely. That's the first reaction. I'm
speaking to you. You ain't got nothing to offer.
You can't help me.
Somebody else gonna think that they gonna offer me some help if you can't even offer it and you know me. So, and that's what I mean. Like, we have to stop that and really sit back and be like, yo, maybe that person may not be able to help you. Yes, you reached out to that person, and that person reached out back to you and
basically told you that I can't help you,
and this is the direction that you should take. That's not even constructive criticism. Listen. This is the best. This is the best limit I can give you.
Yeah, this is what I can give you. This is my limit.
This is my limit
because I am not that well in tune with. I understand what you're going with. So we have to
stop being mad at those people for doing that.
No.
Because they're
like I told you before.
They're trying to be in your best interest also.
Right, but like I told you before, no one wants to take that step and actually figure out what's actually going on. The mental health crisis, especially in the urban community, is at an all-time high.
True.
And those are things that people don't want to admit. Do me a favor, could you pull up the mental health in urban communities? Because there are a lot of things that we have going on within us. Because you have to understand, PTSD isn't just in military people. It's in a lot of urban communities. It's in.
So what do you?
What popped up?
So I'll put in mental health in urban communities. That's what you wanted me to pop up?
So let's go with how the city affects mental health. And let me know what you find that actually piques your interest that you will find. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of things that certain people now, and it's not just the urban area. It's worldwide. Some just affects more people than others. Just because you live in an urban area doesn't mean that someone that is across the waters isn't going through the same thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the aspect of the mental physicality of that, it plays a major key. And until you find the help, if you choose to find that mental help that you may need, I suggest you go and you make that decision, because you may not know what doors you may unlock.
Yeah.
You know? Go back. Do me a favor. Go back out that page and click on that area. That one.
This one?
Yeah. Read that.
So, how do urban areas affect mental health? Urbanization affect mental health through the influence of increased stressors and factors such as overcrowded and polluted environment, high levels of violence, and reduced social support. Yeah, I can see that.
Makes sense. Your areas are deteriorating. We have to understand. We also come from an area. Let's take it to this one. You know, you watched.
You know what? Sorry to interrupt you on that one. You kind of speaking to jump on this.
Yes.
So when we speak on polluted environments, and you were just saying how everything is just corroding to crap, I had to think about something just now.
Okay.
And I thought about the difference between where I'm at now and where I was at 6 months ago, prior to me moving.
Okay.
And I'm sitting back now thinking, I made the change of environment have drastically changed my mental.
Makes sense.
And I am puzzled by a lot of things that I'm going through now within these last 6 months that I have not had to go through in 10 years. And it is strenuous on my mind and brain.
In a positive way or a negative?
Both. For one, I was 5 minutes away from work. Now I'm 30 something minutes away from work.
Right.
The mental of getting up an hour earlier, an hour to an hour and a half earlier than what I typically will have to wake up to. The commute, being able to know that if I leave in a certain amount of time, I'm only going to be 5 minutes away.
Right.
Where if I spend 5 minutes extra doing something now, that's taking 5 minutes away from me getting closer to my destination. So and it's crazy because
didn't we just have a video on that?
Yeah.
Comfort zone.
Because it's crazy because, and it's not even a comfortability now that I'm thinking about it.
Well,
it's just,
it was some kind of a comfortability,
true.
because there were certain things that you could do, being that close, that you can kind of like wash over. Like, I can do this real quick and be there, and I can do this. I can do that. Now it's like
different.
Once I gotta get this done and this done and this done, because when I'm out the house, I'm out.
It's totally different. Yeah. Like washing clothes, I was able to just go right down the street, 5 minutes. Laundromat, right, like literally right there.
Right.
Comfortable. I can get there. I can get home. I can get back. I'm not spending crazy time. I don't have to sit at the laundromat because it's 5 minutes away from my house.
Right.
The work was 5 minutes away. Food 5 minutes away. Everything was 5 minutes away. Now everything is 30 minutes away.
Mm.
And it's not, for me, it's not a good 30. Like, I would like, so I would like to live in the country, rural area.
Okay, so you have to understand, if you get to that point,
that's a good 30 minutes for me.
Well,
the 30 minutes I feel like is backwards. It feel like I took.
You feel like you're moving further away
from that goal.
Then. Well, sometimes you gotta
not necessarily move further away. It just feel like at this moment that's the case.
All right, check it out. You ever play Super Mario?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when if Super Mario hit his head on the block
Yeah.
and the 1-up will pop up?
Yeah.
Which way do that 1-up usually go?
Backwards, right?
So what you got to do?
Yeah.
Damn! You want that 1-up, don't you?
That's crazy.
You want that 1-up, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to move backwards just a little bit to move forward to get your sustainability to get to where you need to be.
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta move a little further back sometimes.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, if you have to move back to get that 1-up, make sure it ain't a drop behind where you trying to go back, because you'll lose that life and you'll lose your life.
Yeah.
So you can't.
That's crazy, man. But just reading that and I'm sitting here thinking about my mental health and the stuff that I'm going
Because
through.
it's true.
And it's like, yo, I was already going through some stuff.
That's why I told you, PTSD is very. As a person that actually suffers from PTSD, it plays a major key, and it's not just in the military. It's a worldwide aspect. It just depends on how people are willing to fight it. Some people fight it with prayer. Some people fight it with meds. Some people fight it with alcohol. Some people fight it in violence. It all depends on the way that you're willing to combat it.
Yeah.
That it's going to be the best for you to help you and you moving forward into helping other people instead of it taking a hold of you and moving backwards.
I need to double check that one.
What's that?
Mental health is worse in rural areas, and here I am talking about some trying to move there.
No, read what that say.
So it's people who live in regional, rural, and remote areas experience mental health problems at about the same rate as those in a city, but they face greater challenges as a result because of the difficulty of assessing the support they need and to the greater visibility of mental illness in a smaller community, which now I gotta add to that.
Which will make sense. I can understand that. Because you have to think about it.
Oh, okay. Like people in rural areas feel like they're shortchanged. They don't have the access to basic services.
Yeah.
Like your Walmarts, your Targets.
But it's not even.
I don't know. Maybe I don't.
That too. But you have to understand, people that are in those areas.
Police, ambulance,
health services, things of that nature. But that is the risk you are willing to take, is to move in those areas for your own privacy, for your own self and well-being, but at the same time you have to understand those things. But if there are things that you can't take, okay, you have to think about what our forefathers had to go through. You know what I'm saying? They had to till the fields. Some of them sold their own clothes, make their own boots, ammunition, the whole kit and caboodle. So they had to do that without, assistance from certain people. Some people, hey man, I fell and I got a gash. I got to heal myself with a wound and gash. Some of them, now mind you, also certain people didn't last long because they weren't in those areas. But for the most part, they understood the basics of survivability. They knew how to plant. They knew how to garden. They knew how to run a trot line. They knew how to bandage up wounds and take care of themselves, because that was the lifestyle that they were living.
They're losing something to gain something.
Yeah, I'm losing my touch on the world, so to speak, but I'm gaining my own sustainability of having to learn how to do that. And you have to understand, when you're so used to the handouts given to you, that you don't know, like things like, yo, let's keep it simple. Do you know how to change a tire? Do you know how to plant a garden?
Yeah.
If worse comes to worse, and as we seeing right now with food supply and shit starting
shortage, yeah.
shit starting to hit the fan, do you know how to hunt for your food?
Yeah.
Do you the things that we were so used to being taught has been slowly taken, I won't say taken away from you, but it's become so demonetized to the sense of it seems like it's done for a purpose, because if I can make you forget how to do the basic things of survival, you have no choice but to depend on someone to get it for you.
Yep.
And then this is when you have things like a Mad Max type lifestyle, a Book of Eli type lifestyle that we talked about last week. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
damn. This is a good today is just, it opened my eyes on some stuff, man.
it's real. And it's all basically stems from constructive criticism on how you are willing to take it, or how are you willing to accept it, and what it all comes down to, which is basically your own mental health, because no one knows you like you. You can front all day to everybody else. When you get in your car and you come back home and you close that door and you got to go in your bathroom and you look in that mirror, you're looking at yourself.
Yeah.
What did I accomplish? What did I learn today? What am I willing to do to make myself a better person? Because if someone isn't telling me something, then that means I have to figure out a way to do it. You know what I'm saying?
You right about that one. So, speaking on mental health, maybe I should give some ways of staying mentally healthy. And these are going to be ways that I'm going to also start implementing if they have not already been implemented in my life.
Right.
The first one is exercise. So I know a lot of people don't like exercising.
Right.
You have to exercise, and somehow, some way. And also, when we speak on exercising, you how can I say this? You do not have to exercise every single day. You do not have to exercise all day, every day. You can actually exercise 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. That can actually help. That gives more assistance and help than exercising every day in the gym for over an hour a day. A lot of people, depending on who you are, that put more harm to your body than help.
Right.
Second, write some stuff down. Write down the stuff that bother you, and see what of those items that you're writing in a journal and what you're writing down that's bothering you. Look at those things and see what actually helps. What you can resolve the quickest. So if it's a job, if it's parenting, if it's family, if it's marriage, I would assume the job would probably be the easier one to fix of those, depending on who you are, or probably even marriage, depending on your relationship, because you should be able to talk to your wife or your spouse. But writing stuff down and getting a better understanding of what's going on paper versus having it consumed in your brain, that helps. Second, find a hobby. Podcast, exercise, art, draw, paint, push-ups, run, walk, talk, anything that is a hobby to you. Find a hobby, and try and enjoy, and make sure it's a hobby that you enjoy.
Right.
Lastly, ask for help. Do not be ashamed to ask for help. Even if you cannot get assistance. Again, I was asking for help earlier these last couple days. I didn't get the assistance. I took it a different way. But I backtracked and understood what I was asking for, and I was just asking for an ear, not for you to resolve my problem
or your issues.
So I thank that person for that.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
these are things that I'm also implementing in my life and things that I'm actually adding to my life. I exercise, but not a lot. So I want to start adding that to a regimen. My journal, it's funny. I was just cleaning my basement. I'm looking at all my notes, and I'm like starting like trying to start YouTube, and I write things down. Everything. I'm just looking at all these miscellaneous. As today, I'm writing stuff down. I just love to write. And asking for help. Again, I typically would talk to somebody about certain things and
knowing who to talk to.
Yeah,
Not everybody, not every ear is gonna listen. Be aware of friends dressed as safety nets, encouraging your fall.
And mindful exercise, which that's something that I probably will implement, which is finding an exercise that actually helps calm and reduces my stress.
Right.
And your stress levels. So those are things that to start to help engage and to fix your mental health.
Right.
If you don't know where to start.
I can dig that.
So I think that's
sense.
That's helpful.
Makes sense.
While we're talking about mental health, because I have a lot of those issues also.
I think we all do.
And seeing that those are recent things that occurred in my life, I think this is the actual perfect topic to talk about. So those are definitely some of the things you should do to help stay mentally healthy and to start to become mentally healthy.
Absolutely. And understanding the difference between someone trying to help you and someone trying to belittle you.
Yeah.
And that just takes actually discernment.
Because I'm trying to help not only yourself, but I'm trying to help myself.
Because we all have to help each other, and it's up to us to pull each other or pull one another to the side and say something, especially if we see something, and especially if we can help that person from not going only down the road that we've been going down, but try to eliminate that and nip it in the bud before it gets excessive and becomes something a lot more than what it should be if you can catch it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
That's real, man. I don't know. Moving forward, though, I wanted to talk about. No, actually, I'll wait till next week. I'll think about it. That'll wait till next week's conversation. I don't want to stare away from what we're talking about right now.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be next week's conversation. I'm thinking about what I want to talk about right now. But yeah, I don't know.
I think that's it.
I'm good, man.
I think that's set the precedence of what we wanted to explain.
So
personally,
G-checking is good. It's a good form of correcting. Constructive criticism is a good form of correcting.
It's all about how it's done, and in the essence of love and honesty, and not hate and transparency.
And for the people again that's given the constructive criticism, just be understanding of the person that you're talking to. They need your help more than you hurting them. So
facts.
You know. So I don't know. You done? I'm done.
I think that's
got
good.
Anything else to talk about?
Nah, I think we good.
What's that right there you got going on?
You don't want none of this.
Alright, you're right. Alright, y'all. So we gonna catch up to y'all next week. Thank you for checking in again this week. I know the schedule's been a little bit off, but you know, we've been still trying to make it work for everybody's best interest, and we still want to drop something for you guys every week. So
as much as possible, Lord willing, because you know the goal is to continue this, to keep us busy and to keep us learning from each other. I feel like these are learning experiences, and I feel like I'm learning a lot from him, and
No, I'm learning way more from you than y'all think you're learning from me.
Yeah, but I definitely am. I'm learning a lot from you because, you know, we may come from certain backgrounds or different backgrounds, but we're coming together for a cause of basically learning from one another and trying to make everyone else understand where we're coming from, and hopefully that it helps you and it encourages you to maybe create something of your own, maybe enlighten you to be a better person, or maybe to just, you know, just be great.
All right, y'all. So see you next week.
See you next week.
And y'all have a good one. All right, man. Peace.
Peace.